Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, this is out of the Watcher. Situational awareness for potentially hazardous comets. Last near Earth as far back as 4,000 years ago. So, right off the bat, they're talking about perhaps a group of comets that came and interacted with the Earth about 4,000 years ago. And sent probably incredible showers that would have been spectacular to actually see visually. And this is from SETI. And they're known to return as infrequent as once every 4,000 years.
Oh, wow.
So let's see, 4,000 years ago, and they come by every 4,000 years.
Let's do the math. Let's try.
Yes, yeah, that's that. There you go. So, situational awareness for potentially hazardous comets that were last near Earth orbit around 2000 BC. Yes. Interesting, is it not, that they bring this up? We have so many things that are being revealed in the great apocalypse that we're in. One of the things that, I guess it hits me that a lot of people are probably not familiar with any prophecy that's non-biblical, because there's tons, and we've talked about it. And, I've done individual videos on many of the different ones over the years. But I just wanted to put together a few for you guys to peek at and see if you start seeing a bigger picture here. Well, right away, when I see comets, multiple comets, makes me think of Mother Shipton. And Mother Shipton's prophecy of, the infamous dragon that returns. So she was reportedly born Ursula Santhile in 1488 in Norfolk, England, died in 1561. And she had prophetic and psychic abilities from an early age. She married Toby Shipton at 24, became known as Mother Shipton. Many of her prophecies and visions came true. And this goes all through it. And I almost know this like word for word because I've read it so many times. But it covers so many different things. It covers, famine and earth changes. And it does cover this dragon that we end up going through the dragon's tail. Hard to really see it be anything other, honestly, than something exactly like, comets. In reality, that's what seems to make the most sense. It's always hit me that way, that, there would be comets or a series of comets, or it could be technology as well.
I always felt that the technology is kind of symbiotic with the natural processes of Earth. I do believe there's beings that have been here long enough that have seen things in different aspects, in different ways, and can lasso this technology and the natural processes of Earth and use it to their benefit. That's kind of what I think.
Exactly. And see, some of the prophecies that were given by other people, other traditions, can be very specific and really mind-blowing. Like when you think back to this time, this is before any motors, and you see a carriage without a horse will go. Disaster fill the world with woe. Interesting, is it not? I mean, a carriage without a horse would be something that would be inconceivable, because she's talking about something motorized. That's pretty specific. If we look at, say, we go into Matthew and Mark, which have prophecies at the same time period, it's just really, it's pretty generic. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, et cetera, et cetera. That's pretty damn generic when you get down to it. Probably the most infamous ones that people think of is the mark of the beast. That nobody should basically buy or sell unless they have the mark of the beast. And we could see that manifesting. Interesting too, because the oldest copy of the book of Revelation that we have is probably between 300 and 400 AD. And again, there's revisions, incomplete. There's so many things to it. And we've talked about scripture. How much of this is programming? How much of it is, basically, I don't think I'd word it a gift from God, honestly, because you find people that are very, very prophetic in every tradition. They have abilities. I think it's just simply abilities. There are people born that are naturally clairvoyant and intuitive. And I think what they're seeing is possible timelines, not necessarily written in stone, because I really don't believe that. I think we can change timelines, but I think there are some things that are harder to change than others. So, this is just interesting stuff. Around the world, men's thoughts will fly, quick as the twinkling of an eye, and waters shall great wonders do. How strange, and yet shall all come true. Thoughts flying around. I mean, you could just see that clearly. That sounds like the internet, doesn't it?
Text messaging.
I mean,
yeah.
that sounds like the internet text messaging and the technology we have as well. Through towering hills, proud men shall ride, no horse or ass moving by his side. Beneath the water, men shall walk, shall ride, shall sleep, shall even talk. And in the air, men shall be seen in white and black and even green. It's really wild. Iron then shall float. I mean, iron boats and everything. And it gets into so many things. And it talks about different tyrants. I mean, it's just fascinating. Is it revisionist history? Is this perhaps, something that's not as old as they say? And in many cases, I think that is exactly what we see with scripture, being constantly revised. Again, in, old Judaic tradition, they didn't write the vowels down. And again, the oldest copy of the 5 books of Moses that we have is from somewhere around 900 to 1100, full copy. AD, AD, not BC, AD. And then it talks about the dragon. A fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before the earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and frightened be for the 6 heralds in this prophecy. And, mountains will roar, earthquakes will split to the shore, flooding waters roaring in. And basically, it's not that the entire earth ends, because some of the most fascinating stuff is what happens afterwards. There are survivors. They basically emerge. And what else happens? A silvery ship comes from the sky, lands, and strange, humanoid looking beings come out and help man to rebuild. And I'll have the links for you guys. This is just, pretty amazing if it really was written way before the times. Yeah, even if it was written 100 and something, 200 years ago, it's still pretty interesting and pretty amazing.
And what I like about Mother Shipton is, well, so far she hasn't been proven to be a 33rd degree.
Yeah, she's not a 33rd degree Mason like King James. King James was actually in the King James. Every time I see KGV, I think more like KGB or CIA or NSA. Every time I realize, that we're talking insider there. That's an insider. That is an insider. And there are those that think that really that version and everything was put together by the author of the Shakespearean novels, who perhaps wasn't Shakespeare, but perhaps was Bacon, Sir Francis Bacon. And, look deeper, guys. You gotta look deeper, because this world depends on that. It depends on getting out of these fundamentalist mindsets that keep our vision narrow, keep us only seeing what we have been taught, what we have been brought up with, not recognizing that certain things are absolutely universal. Then, of course, we have the Hopi prophecy of the blue star or blue kachina and red kachina, and those signs appearing up in the sky. And the red does feel a lot like it could be Nibiru. Nibiru is very, very red, as we've shared with you guys. Cindy has remote viewed it, sees it. It's more of a ship than a planet now. It's kind of like Darth Vader, more machine than man, well, more ship than planet, with life support to keep the beings on it alive. And it is a 4th density planet. It's something that, if while we would have been in 3rd density, you wouldn't see it necessarily. Now, we would see it in times when we're transitioning through the ages. when we're rising or lowering in vibrational density. And as we know, that happens in periodic times, yugas. And so in the golden age, we'll be above it, and they won't be able to influence us at all. But when we're in the dark age, the Kali Yuga, yes. Yes, they can influence us, and they do influence us. And so, the Hopi, you see this interesting. I think they're talking about, it looks to me like they're talking about ascension. There's two pathways. Some people are on one and some are on another. It really feels like the splitting of reality, some that will be reborn on another 3D planet somewhere else, because this one's going to be in 5D, and other beings that make it and survive and go on in a fifth density reality here on the Earth. And interesting, these symbols, are they not? And we see certain symbols are universal, and they're representing what we're going to be finding in these times. Fascinating stuff, and they get into detail. So World War III will be started by those people who first revealed the light, divine wisdom or intelligence in the other old countries, such as India, China, Islamic nations, Africa. The United States will be destroyed, land and people, by atomic bombs and radioactivity. Only the Hopis and their homeland will be preserved as an oasis to which refugees will fly. Bomb shelters are a fallacy. It's only materialistic people who seek to make shelters. Those who are at peace in their hearts already are in the great shelter of life. There is no shelter for evil. Those who take no part in the making of world division by ideology are ready to resume life in another world. Be they black, white, red, or yellow, they are all one brothers. So this war will be a spiritual conflict with material matters. Material matters will be destroyed by spiritual beings who will remain to create one world and one nation under one power, that of the true creator, not of any Anunnaki or EGG beings pretending to be the creator of all. And, so you can see this is very, very explicit and very, very straightforward, very clear. And again, what's one of the problems? It's the division. And we go back to the Tower of Babylon. Look, they're united. They are as one. We can't have this. Let us go down there. And right away, let us go down there. That's not the creator of the universe. Not at all. That's the Anunnaki. That's the Ichishi. These are the beings that we're talking about here, who are under the control of the reptilians, the Draco. Well, they are themselves partially reptilian. And ultimately under the control of this AI black dragon entity.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, these things are the things that we need to identify and look at to really hold on to our sanity in this world, because we know this world just is not what it's appearing to be. There's too many things in the background that just don't fit.
Most definitely. And so we jump over 15 amazing predictions for the Kali Yuga from the Bhagavata Purana. And, the Vedas, many have dated them to be, somewhere around 4,000 or 5,000 years old wisdom, and perhaps even older than that. And, I would really encourage people to expand their minds and look and do comparative religious study. That opens many doors, and then you can make some real decisions without just making a decision on the only thing that you've studied. And really, you have to weigh it in your heart, too. The whole time I was studying, and going to Bible study after Bible study, the whole version that we have just never felt right. It never felt right. I was always looking for something to confirm it, but never found that. And it always felt like something was amiss. Something was just off. And so as I did more studying, and I realized, well, the version we have is their version. It's the version of those that control this reality. And who controls this world? Satan, right? The adversary. So why would we believe in the version that the adversary is giving us? And so prediction 1, religion, truthfulness, cleanliness, tolerance, mercy, duration of life, physical strength, and memory will all diminish day by day because of the powerful influence of the age of Kali. And we had talked about before in different yugas, like they say in the Kali Yuga, that the max anybody could really live is about 100. And when we get out of the Kali Yuga, we go up into the Bronze, then you could live up to 1,000. And many people won't believe that at all. But how about those legends of, Methuselah and others living 969 years, or the, hybrid Sumerian god kings that ruled on Earth for tens of thousands of years? But it's also about the different yugas, because as we go up into the higher vibrational frequencies, we're more energy, less dense, and we don't deteriorate as fast. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Reality is very different. In the Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered a sign of man's good birth, proper behavior, and fine qualities. Wealth. And law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power. Is that not true for these days?
Oh my gosh, is it true? Yes.
In other words, the money makes the laws.
Mm-hmm.
The elite, the wealthy, everything is done according to their whim. Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. Success in business will depend upon its deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and man will be known as a Brahmana just by wearing a thread, or basically a holy man, so to speak. So we see this deterioration that happens in these ages, in this dark age. A person's spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to external symbols. And on that same basis, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. A person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living. And one who is very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. No wisdom, just skill in basically sales or selling whatever it is. Selling the BS, selling the system. Another prediction 5 here, a person will be judged unholy if he does not have money, and hypocrisy will be accepted as virtue. My gosh, we had that. Marriage will be arranged simply by verbal agreement, and a person will think he is fit to appear in public if he has merely taken a bath. In other words, again, no attention to what's going on in the inside, on the spiritual realms. Prediction 6, the sacred place will be taken to consist of no more than a reservoir of water located at a distance, and beauty will be thought to depend on one's hairstyle. Filling the belly will become the goal of life, and one who is audacious will be accepted as truthful. He who can maintain a family will be regarded as an expert man, and the principles of religion will be observed only for the sake of reputation. Prediction 7, as the earth thus becomes crowded with corrupt population, whoever among any other social classes shows himself to be the strongest will gain political power. It's certainly not those that are in true service to others. Harassed by famine and excessive taxes, people resort to eating leaves, roots, flesh, as most were vegetarian, wild honey, fruits, flowers, and seeds. Struck by drought, they will become completely ruined. Prediction 9, the citizens will suffer greatly from cold, wind, heat, rain, and snow. They will be further tormented by quarrels, hunger, thirst, disease, and severe anxiety. I mean, these are pretty suiting, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fitting.
The maximum duration of life for human beings in the Kali Yuga will eventually become 50 years as things get worse and worse. And isn't it interesting, too, that our lifespans are actually decreasing here in the United States? I know it's been 2 years in a row. I think it might be 3 years in a row now. And in many Western countries, men will no longer protect their elderly parents. No, they stick them in homes. And I know that firsthand, having worked in those homes as well. In Kali Yuga, men will develop hatred for each other over a few coins, giving up all friendly relations. They'll be ready to lose their own lives and even kill even their own relatives, again, for money. Uncultured men will accept charity on behalf of the Lord and earn a livelihood by making a show of austerity and wearing a mendicant's dress. Those who know nothing about religion will mount a high seat and presume to speak on religious principles. Let's just look at the Pope for that one, right? Prediction 14, servants will abandon a master who has lost his wealth, even if that master is a saintly person of exemplary character. Masters will abandon an incapacitated servant, even if that servant has been in the family for generations. Cows will be abandoned or killed when they stop giving milk. And the cows were viewed as sacred, and they never ate beef. Cities will be dominated by thieves. The Vedas will be contaminated by speculative interpretations of atheists. Political leaders will virtually consume the citizens, and the so-called priests and intellectuals will be devotees of their bellies and their genitals. So there you have it. And of course, we have the predictions of Nostradamus, and many of his predictions have been pretty eerily accurate. For one, the king that was killed jousting, where it pierced his eye, and Hister and Hitler. There's so many that were very eerily, ominously accurate. And if you look at the war prophecies, he still has a World War III out there with many prophecies on how it's going to happen. And we could see that lining up pretty accurately right now. And then also the earth changes and everything.
Right. I think many people really stood up and took more notice of Nostradamus when they found that he was talking about the iron birds running.
Yeah. Again, clearly you're talking about trains, and you're talking about planes, and you're talking about cars and modern ways of getting around. That would have been mind-boggling back in 1565 or so. So this is truly amazing, clear predictions in many cases. Of course, many, just like other prophecies, could be taken more ways than one. And then perhaps a modern prophetic vision here. Dimitri Duterman, China and Russia will attack and invade the U.S. And there's so many people that have seen that. I've seen that all my life as well. Peter Dunov, who we've actually been able to make contact with as a guide now. Interesting man, very high vibrational, good person. But he saw clearly that the cause of everything that's going on is where we are. It's where we are in this section of this galaxy. It's a section in which there were horrors and just extreme war and such a loss of life that there's these dark entities there that feed off of misery and feed off of everything that is, bad and evil and just horrid. They feed off of Lush. And we are leaving this zone. And he did talk about a solar flash. And again, he lived from 1864 to 1944. Also a musician, and also practiced a form of Qigong without calling it that. But he said that there would be a solar flash, and basically it's going to be, where is your vibration at? It doesn't matter what dogma you're following, whether you profess a belief for, Allah or Jesus, or the teachings of Moses, or if you're Hindu, if you're atheist, it doesn't matter. It's all on your vibration. It's, where is your heart? Where are you? Are you operating out of service to others and compassion and love centered? You'll be okay, because you'll ascend when the flash comes. If not, then again, you're going to find yourself on another 3D planet, probably under the control of these same beings that have been here now. So very fascinating, his prophecies. I've done several videos on him. So, do you have to is this really the word of God, or is this just simply people that are intuitive, that haven't developed their abilities, or are naturally gifted, perhaps from past lifetimes? Well, there's 25 cities. These are superpowers that you can get through practicing yoga, meditation, and other spiritual practices. And just to touch on some of them: exceptional mind-body control, clairvoyance, the ability to gain knowledge unbound by ordinary constraints of space and time. There you go. Psychokinesis as well, moving things with just your mind. But telepathy, clairvoyance, prophecy. They're the gifts of spirit. What's one of the gifts of spirit? Prophecy. It's spirit, and the Holy Spirit is not. It doesn't belong to any one denomination. It doesn't belong to any one faith. We're talking about the universal consciousness here. We're talking about the life force that brings and animates every single one of these bodies.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do that we're unaware of that, they purposefully don't teach us.
No. So, again, when we get into the dogma, dogma divides. It's just that simple. And the great masters that come and have taught us, they're not about dogma. They're about getting us to wake up. Recognize that there's truth to be found in all traditions. No one tradition has a lock on it. There's no one quote unquote chosen people by prime creator, the true creator of everything. Sure, if you look back into the old Sumerian tales, each one of the Sumerian deities, the Anunnaki, beings, well, they had their own city states. They had their own chosen tribe. Yeah, that is the reality. But prime creator, that creates multiverses, would not choose just one single tribe to give a message to. So, that just becomes obvious when we step out of the dogma.
It sure does. Absolutely.
Yes. So connect to Source, Prime Creator, God with the big G. It's inside you right now. And of course, it's not just a he or a she. It's all of the above and way beyond that.
Right. It's so much more.
Yes. So thanks so much for being part of the family. Make sure you guys are subscribed. If you found this interesting, if it woke up anybody, then thumbs up. And I'm sure there will be some that will have problems with this because of their conditioning as well. Still working through shedding the societal conditioning of these dark energies. Thank you guys so much for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do it without you. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.